Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Ultimate Property Management Virtual Masterclass. This is part 3, hosted by a real estate investor. And today's third masterclass of 2021 is officially sponsored by WeConnectU, developers of intelligent property management software to enable you to scale and deliver more value to your clients. My name is Neil Peterson. I'm the founder of Real Estate Investor, South Africa's leading independent digital real estate platform for over 14 years already, geared for investors, landlords, developers, property practitioners, and entrepreneurs. This topic this morning is key steps to analyze your market by asking critical questions, as Johan put so nicely. And so I'd like to introduce you to Tobie Van Der Merwe.
Yeah, as Johan said, at WeConnectU, we have seen the absolute value of a business plan, and it's really exciting for us to be sharing our thoughts with you on this important topic that very often gets neglected in a business. The nature of my job, I am a business development manager at WeConnectU, and I deal with clients, I deal with competition, I deal with stakeholders, and the section of the business plan that I'm talking about is really my passion, because I love this part of the business plan. It's all about asking questions. So in my session today, I'm going to be looking at the key steps to analyze your market by asking critical questions. And this step is essentially the first step in developing a property management business plan. It's the foundation. And why is it so critical? Because it's going to help you understand what business you are in, where your business will come from, and who are the role players that are either going to take business from you, your competition, or they're going to help you gain traction in the market. So right off the bat, I just want to quickly post my first mentee question. And the question is, how positive are you about the growth opportunities in your market or industry? Whether you're a property manager in rentals or sales, just quickly go on to mentee and just answer this question. How positive are you about the growth opportunities in your industry? Being said, I just want to quickly show you the stats that we got back from our pre-event survey. The question was, what does your growth look like in the last 18 to 24 months? Interesting enough, 12% of you said you experienced exponential growth, which is great. 46% gradual growth, 22% said even growth, and then 18% of you said your growth was actually not growth, there was decline. But it's amazing to see that about 80% of you out there gave feedback that even in this challenging time over the last 18 to 24 months, your business has grown, which is phenomenal. The second question that we asked, that's related to this topic, is what are the top sources of business, new business for you? Interesting enough, as expected, most of you said your source of business is still word of mouth. Now, word of mouth is fantastic because it's linked to your reputation, but the problem is with word of mouth is that you cannot control word of mouth. It's out of your hands. If people talk, they talk. If they don't talk, then you don't get marketing traction. So this is actually a very reactive approach. And part of what we do when we analyze our market is to position ourselves and see how are we going to take our business forward from a marketing point of view. So just interesting stats. Okay, so as an introduction to my session, I'm going to use a practical example. And I want to use a bit of a case study or a story. And we're based here in Somerset West, and this will be the reason of my story or the basis of my story. So my question is, how would you as property manager approach 2020 differently if you had the following data available about your market? So as I said, it's a case study. It's just a case study that I want to use as a property manager here in this area. Okay, so as a property manager in this area, I did some research by using Google, speaking to industry bodies like NAMA and the EAB, networked with some industry leaders and stakeholders, and this is what I found. Okay, so there's about 1,200 communities in this region in 3 main segments, which is about 950 sectional title schemes or body corporates, about 200 HOAs, and about 50 retirement villages. There's an estimate of about 60,000 units across these 1,200 communities. About 15% of the, or 180 of these communities are self-managed. And in the past 24 months, 21 new body corporate or sectional title schemes were developed, and 10 new HOAs were developed. And 18 new communities are being developed in the next 12 to 24 months. And there is one municipal closed-off area of around 2,500 units that's planned in the next 2 years in this area. Then, as part of my market analysis, I also found that the average management fees between, let's say, 120 to 140 Rand per month per unit, and the average rental monthly rental amount is about 9,500 Rand. By making a simple sum, I can say that in this region that I'm in, the market value is an estimated 100 million turnover per annum, or about 8.4 million per month. Based on the new developments that this market is looking at, that I spoke about earlier, this market value will grow by about 5 to 10 million annually in the next 12 to 24 months. I also picked up that I've got about 23 competitors in my area. 14 of them are managing agents, they specialize, and about 8 of them are rental agencies that also do sales and rentals and property management. By looking at my competitors, they've got an average of 6 staff members. 3 managing agents sold their book in the last 12 months. 2 of them retired, and 2 of them are still planning to sell the book in the next 12 months. 4 of the 50 managing agents in this area are credit connectors. So from a marketing point of view, I've picked up that 17 of the managing agents have a dedicated website, active website, and a blog, and 8 of them have active social media pages. Competitors are virtually invisible online. I couldn't name them, and they're only on directories. I also picked up that I've got about 34 stakeholders in my area, 17 attorneys, auditors. I've got 3 developers and then 10 accounting firms in this area. And I also know that 2 of the attorney firms and 2 accounting firms have started property management divisions in the business, and they'll soon be competition. So based on this, I get an understanding of my market. And I picked up that my trustees are between 35 and 60 years old, 25% male-female split. They are more informed investors as ever before. They really clued up about legal matters and compliance. It's important to them. They require more value and quality service and clear communication than ever before. We are finding that they're increasingly tech savvy, and they want access to data and reports now. And then we also find that their loyalty is not as strong as it always was. They easily move around if they're not happy with service. From an owner point of view, we find that owners are mostly first-time owners, and they underestimated the levies in their budget, and their debt levels are quite high, and most of them work from home. So you can see with this information that I've got, my question was, how would you approach 2020 differently if you had this information available before you go into the year? Well, for the first time, I can be proactive about the way I approach my market and take on my competitors, because I know exactly who they are. I know exactly what they need based on their risks and value. And I know who my competitors are, what they offer, more or less what they price, and how do they market themselves outside. So with this, I can then take that information and I can create my value proposition. I can know who to target. I can package my value proposition. I can position myself in a certain way, communicate a certain message, and put myself out there as a visible expert with a strong reputation and high visibility. So, saying that, the foundation of your business plan is the foundation of a rock solid business plan is a comprehensive market overview. Now, what does this market overview entail? It sounds like this massive big thing that you need to do, and it's not really. It's actually just asking questions. So, while it consists of 6 steps, and these are the components, how you get and dive in depth into understanding your market. It starts by defining your market, then analyzing the performance of your market and the growth in your market. Then you look at critically look at your customers, your competitors, and your stakeholders. And then finally, you do a scenario analysis where you basically look into the future and try and understand what is going to affect your business and your customers. Importantly, your market overview is not thumbsuck. It is based on data, it's based on facts, and it's based on proper research. And I always say, I've learned doing market overviews, Google is your friend. You can get a lot of information from Google. So, as you've seen in my case study, the benefits of investing your time into gathering information regarding your market is enormously beneficial. Firstly, you immediately become the expert and market authority in your area because you are 10 steps ahead of everybody. You know exactly what's going on. That means that you will be ahead of your competition, making you more competitive. then you can take this information and build a tailored value offering, which is not based on what you think your clients need, but it's based on what they actually need. And lastly, you can adapt to change and trends, and you can do it faster than anybody else. So in simple terms, a market overview is simply asking the right questions in order to build a comprehensive market plan. So what's the big idea here? What's the big takeaway? Firstly, you need to, as Johan said earlier, you need to understand your clients and their needs better than they even understand it themselves. If you've got that, if you've got that knowledge, you're in a great position. You can align your business with your customers and what they need, and all your resources can be aligned to that. And then, as Schalk will mention a bit later on, you deliver on what your customers need because you're aligning your business to that. Okay, so what I'm going to do in the next few minutes, I'm going to spend some time just going through critical questions with regards to each of these components as you compile your market overview. And we're going to make it really easy for you. After this session, we are going to make available some practical guides, which you can then use to go and ask the critical questions. So you're going to receive guides. It's going to ask every single question in every single of these key components. And then out of that, you can go and take that. And we're also going to give you a marketing business plan template that you're going to use to set up this. So we try to make it as practical as possible for you. Okay, so let's start by the first two components, which is defining your market and analyzing your market performance. So when you define your market and you understand the performance of your market, you understand the business that you are in, you understand the markets that you are in, and you can also understand the scale of the problem that you are dealing with. And it's not just objective, subjective approach, but also an objective approach because you're going to gather information. You would have noticed in my case study that I knew exactly what is the size and the value of my market. And I could quantify it into rands and units, which is fantastic because now I can actually go and put data linked to real-time information and align my business according to that. So with this information, I can now position my business and my resources to align with what the market opportunities are out there. I'm proactive and not reactive. And I can pick my clients who I want to target and improve the client base that I'm actually targeting. So typical questions from a market overview point of view. I want to know what's the size of my market when it comes to the volume and the value of the market. So typically, how many body corporates, how many HOAs, how many rental units are out there in the market? Has this market grown at all? New development is coming in. Which segments exist in the market? I mentioned it earlier. Your commercial, your residential letting, your body corporates, HOAs, retirement units. Those are all segments. What are the current habits and trends in the market? We would have seen in the last 12 to 24 months a massive pressure on the commercial letting industry just because of the fact that guys are working from home. So what the trends that we are seeing? What other interesting opportunities are being created out there? So those are typical key questions that you're going to ask from a market analysis point of view. From a market performance point of view, you want to know how this market is performing actually. What's the rands and cents and units linked to those markets so that you can go and extract a piece of the pie that's out there? Asking, is your market declining, stagnating, or growing? And I asked that in my question earlier. And a lot of you are seeing growth. So that means there's opportunity. Which segments are best performing? Maybe there's certain segments that you want to target. So those are just key questions that you want to ask. And what's the low-hanging fruit that you want to go and extract out of the market? So those are some key questions. And I'll give more when we send you the practical guide. So my next question for Menti is the following. What do you think is your customer's top 3 needs? What is your customer's top 3 needs? So please go on to Menti and quickly answer that question. So that brings me to my next factor, which is your customer analysis. And this is an area that I really enjoy because it's where you put yourself in the client's shoes and try to ascertain what is it that they want from you. Because when you understand your customer, you can package your value based on their needs. So their needs is going to be determined by what they value and what the risks are linked to the business that they are involved with you. So it's always based on that. So you're going to ask yourself, what's their needs based on value and risk? You're also going to try and define their definition of value. If you're seen as a property administrator, you are easily replaceable. But if you're seen as an asset manager, you are valuable, and you need to define that value. How can you add more value? Where are your clients looking and asking around to find a solution to their problem? Because if you know that, you will be able to say or know, where do you position yourself for greater visibility? Do you need a new website? Do you need multiple social media platforms? Do you need to network more? Because that's how you're going to get to your client. So with this information, you'll know exactly how to package your value proposition, shape your marketing message, and identify the specific marketing channels that you want to be visible in order for clients to get you. Again, these questions will be given to you in more details. My next question on Mentimeter is, which top 3 things would you change in your business to become more competitive? Let's name the 3 things that you want to change in your business to become more competitive. And that brings me to my next market analysis factor, which is your competitors and your stakeholders. So when you understand your competitors, firstly, you know who they are. And then you can start analyzing their position. And then you can benchmark yourself against them to take advantages of their weaknesses. Guys, you just Google property managers in your area. You'll pick up websites. Immediately, you'll be able to see what message they are communicating. So that's a very, very easy thing to do. Key questions that you want to ask is, how many competitors do you have? Because that divides the pie that you're all fighting for. What is their market position? What do they look like out in the market? What perception are they creating? Are they modern? Are they tech savvy? Are they old school? What do they look like? What are they doing that you are not doing? If you can answer that question, you can swing around and start doing what you should be doing. How are they competing with you? And how are they marketing? So those questions will give you answers how to target your market as opposed to how your competition is targeting your market. Okay, moving on. The last aspect of my market overview before I hand over to Dani is my stakeholder analysis. Now, who are stakeholders? Those are the guys out there that can strengthen your position. They can help you gain greater accountability or credibility, and they can also sometimes open doors for you. So it's those strategic relationships that you need to work on. So if you understand your stakeholders, you understand the stakeholders that are actually in the market, and you can understand who can strengthen your position, give you that credibility you're looking for, and also open doors for you. They typically guys like attorneys, accountants, auditors, other rental agents, other managing agents, if you are in rentals, industry bodies like NAMA, EAB, even guys like municipalities, they can make your life quite difficult or not. So there's a lot of stakeholders that can have an effect on your business. And what you're doing with stakeholder analysis, you're trying to identify the strategic partnership way in advance so that you can start targeting them. Typical questions is, who has influence on your business? Which of those stakeholders has a direct influence on your business? What is their influence on your customers? Can they influence your customer's decision and attitude towards you? And how can they help you add more value? And how can you leverage that relationship? So it's critical to evaluate your stakeholders. And a lot of companies underestimate the value of these strategic stakeholder relationships. And I'll give you other couple of key questions that you can ask. Okay, as I land this thing, in conclusion, why would it be a good idea to invest your time in a proper and thorough market overview, almost like I did in my case study at the beginning? Firstly, you're asking questions. You're asking strategic questions and gathering data about everything related to your business, inside and out. If you ask the right questions, you immediately gain understanding about your market, your customers, and your competition. That empowers you to focus. So you'll be able to now take your value proposition and deliver it according to the needs and communicate according to the value that your clients are expecting from you. And lastly, you are going to respond. How can you respond? You can respond faster to changing needs, opportunities that are created, and growth opportunities that are available out there. And that is the reason why you should, before the end of the year, get onto Google, start networking, start chatting, and do a proper market overview before you jump in to the rest of your business plan. And that is my input for today. Thank you so much.
Tobie, I think there was a lot of interest in your presentation. A lot of questions came up, and what we're first going to do, we're going to ask, we're going to look at the results of the questions that actually Tobie asked over there. And so I think a lot of interest. So the first one that's just come up, how positive are you about your growth opportunities in your market and industry? And it's 63%. That's very positive, or 63 respondents rather. That's very positive. It's only 3 people who are not positive at all. We need to work on you, I think. And then, of course, those that are not sure, and let's wait and see. And those are the people that are probably a little bit reticent out there. But I think this is the beauty of data. So, Tobie, before you go, there was a question, because, you know, I know you went through your methodology and that kind of stuff, but there was a question, how did you get this information and research? I mean, you did touch on it in some way. Maybe just get a little bit practical for somebody to give them a place to start, and maybe just run through that.
Neil, I think, as I said, Google is your friend. You will be utterly surprised what you can get on Google, which is the easiest place to start. There's a lot of information. If you search the right thing, you find the right answers. And another thing that we've learned is ask questions. If you approach industry leaders and stakeholders in your industry, you'll be surprised how easily people give information away. So I think the biggest fear that people have is just making the phone call or setting up an appointment. But your industry bodies like NAMA, those guys, if you ask them for information, they will assist you, especially if you remember. So we've come over the years, we've built up relationships, we speak to a lot of people, we ask a lot of questions, we use Google a lot. And guys, remember, if you do it right the first time, the market overview is pretty much more or less the same for a couple of years, depending if things change drastically. Neil, can you quickly maybe put on the other questions that
yes,
we asked?
Let's, so if we could just pop the other one, and yes, what do you think are your customers' top 3 needs? And there's 2 on 41 responses: high quality management and administration, response and turnaround time to problems and queries. Very interesting. And then that's followed by 100% legal compliance to reduce risk. Do you want to comment on that, Tobie?
No, there's not enough time, but great information.
Okay, no, there is, I think, but this really sort of paints a picture. And, you know, because this is real-time information, a very, very interesting response over here. And you can see it's just updated itself over there. Yes?
I want to say that, remember, your brand image out there in the market is built on 2 things. Firstly, your reputation, which is directly linked to your service levels and the way you do things. Secondly, your brand is built on your visibility. So a lot of clients work a lot on their brand by focusing on service, but they forget to be visible in the market. They only rely on word of mouth, which is going to create problems for you in the long run. Secondly, if you only build on your visibility, you talk a lot and don't deliver. So you have to focus on both. And this slide just indicates that building a reputation is the first and foremost important thing. Then you need to even that out or balance that out by focusing on your visibility. And the digital age has made visibility much easier. Okay, the last question.
Which top 3 things would you change in your business to become more competitive? And it sticks out almost like a skyscraper: strategic approach. Spend more time on your business than in your business, followed by more active marketing tactics, improved customer service approach, attract and retain better staff, and new technology. Wow. Interesting.
That makes me happy, because I think we, like you answered when we started, we were wondering if this masterclass is going to get traction. And I think this answer shows you that you need to focus on strategy, and a business plan is a part of your strategy, and you have to give input. You have to spend time on that. Anyway, thank you so much, Neil.
No, wonderful. Thank you very much. I think it was really good data and really interesting. Thank you, Tobie.